Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the first in our series of webinars on MTD for IT, brought to you by the team here at Coconuts. Today's webinar is a brief introduction to MTD for IT, and we'll be holding more in-depth webinars over the coming months. My name's Leanne, and Jeremy, your main host, will be with you shortly. I'll just do some quick housekeeping before we start. So please note this webinar is being recorded and all information is correct as of April 2025. Please feel free to ask any questions as we go. We do have people on standby, I believe Anna and Mike, and they'll be able to answer your questions, and we'll also hold a short Q&A session at the end of the webinar. I think we've already put some comments in the Q&A section, so you should be able to see where that is on your screen. Okay, so we are going to start with a quick poll. I'll just get this up on the screen now, just double checking that I've got the correct poll. So, okay, do you know what making tax digital is? You've got yes, no, and you have some knowledge of MTD. If you do have an alternate answer, please do jot this in the Q&A section so we understand our audience today. While I give you a moment to answer that, I'll just quickly introduce myself. Like I said, my name's Leanne and I'm Head of Sales and Partnerships here at Coconut. I've worked for Coconut and our sister company, Go Simple Tax, for around 15 years now. So hopefully we've got a few people voting, I can see. And it looks at the moment as though the majority have some knowledge of MTD. So hopefully this webinar will just give you a bit more knowledge there, and I'll now hand you over to Jeremy and he can introduce himself and take it over from here. You okay, Jeremy?
Yeah, thank you, Leanne.
No problem.
Hi, my name is Jeremy. I'm involved with product development here at Coconut. I started off in practice as an accountant before qualifying and then worked in industry. More recently, I've been involved with training, development and support for accounting software. So today we're going to cover the key elements of MTD for income tax. We want you to be aware of the compliance requirements and how to get past the anticipated difficulties and what you should do next. As Leanne said, we're going to be answering questions at the end of the session, so please add them to the Q&A chat option you should see on the bottom of your screen. So, have you started to get ready for the 6th of April 26? It's when making tax digital for income tax will start to be introduced. It's going to completely change how sole traders and landlords keep income and expense records and report tax information to HMRC. The key elements of MTD for income tax are going to be a massive government initiative to digitise the UK tax system. It's all going to be moved online. HMRC believe that MTD will make it easier for you to manage your tax affairs while preventing basic errors that cost the UK tax revenue, billions of pounds a year. There's going to be a phased implementation affecting sole traders and landlords in its first year with a combined gross trading and rental income of over 50,000. And that's going to be coming into effect from April 26. The following year in April 27, sole traders and landlords with revenue over 30k are going to be brought into MTD for income tax. And recently, the Chancellor announced that it'll be extended to sole traders and landlords with revenues over 20k from April 28. If you're mandated to file using MTD for income tax, if you fail to comply, HMRC, I'm afraid, will fine you. Now, you may be thinking, can you get out of it? Well, in simple terms, no, unless you're digitally excluded because of age, disability, or remote location, which prevents you from keeping financial records on a computer or mobile device, or send information to HMRC online. However, partnerships are not going to be brought into MTD for income tax at present, and neither will limited companies for corporation tax for now, although later on that may well happen. We'll pass back to Leanne now for a further Q&A poll.
Thank you, Jeremy. Okay, so I'll just start the next poll for you. What do you currently use to record income expenses? As you can see, you've got Coconut, Spreadsheet, Accountant, other digital software, HMRC, and other. Again, should you use the other option, it'd be really helpful if you could just pop in the comments there and the Q&A what that is, just so it helps us build a better picture of our possible customers. Okay, we've got a few people still voting, so I'll just give you another couple of seconds there. Okay, voting does seem to have come to a stop. We do have somebody that is voting there on other again, so if you, and I think you have put them in the comments. Thank you very, very much. Right, so leading nicely on to Jeremy's next section, the majority of people here are using spreadsheets. We do have some on Coconut, so thank you for joining us as existing customers. Other digital software and a few there with others, and a couple still using HMRC. So Jeremy, I'll leave it back to you.
Thank you, Leon, for that. So the biggest change for business will be a requirement to have digital records kept up to date of your rental income or sole trader income and expense. The records kept must be accurate, complete, and updated regularly, and you'll need to use third-party software. HMRC are not going to provide a product for this. The bottom line from all of this is start keeping digital records now. You're going to have to send in quarterly summaries online to HMRC. Now, don't stress too much. It's just totals of income and expense and profit. It's not complicated. There's no tax returns at these points. It's just 3 simple numbers. The software you're using to keep the digital records will do it for you. It's likely to be a simple click and done. Okay. And after your 4th update, you'll have to do claim any further reliefs and allowances. And then after that, there's a final declaration confirming completeness and accuracy of your data. HMRC will then tell you how much tax you owe, and it's going to mean the end of paper tax returns or annual self-assessment for those sole traders and landlords caught by the MTD for income tax implementation. So to clarify deadlines, perhaps the next slide's going to make that clear. So the quarters are going to run from the 6th of April to the 5th of July, and then to the 5th of October, 5th of January, 5th of April. The reporting is going to be cumulative, so any error correction will just be wrapped up in the next year-to-date submission. The reporting deadlines have been aligned with the VAT quarters. So, for instance, the 1st quarter to the 5th of July, the deadline's the 7th of the following month, the 7th of August. The final declaration is due at the traditional deadline, by the traditional deadline, and that's the 31st of January following. So the first one is 31st of January 27. the taxpayer can make an election at the beginning of the year to alter these dates from the 5th to a calendar month. That's an annual election if your year end is calendar month rather than the 5th of April. So, should you be worried about this? Well, yes and no. Yes, because you've got to keep digital records, and now is the time to do it. Do it now, then it's going to become a habit, and then it won't be an issue when the deadlines approach. You may need to get new software. It's not going to be expensive, and it is going to make MTD much simpler. Get into the habit now, and then it won't be too much of an effort later. Start soon, then it's not going to stress you out when the first deadline approaches 7 August 26 and the initial record keeping for 6th of April 26. So it's going to help you. Each quarter you're going to have a good idea of how much tax you owe. And that means you're going to be able to budget for the annual tax bill. It's not going to be a nasty shock at the end of the year. And it's also going to mean that you're going to catch any issues and mistakes sooner, and therefore eliminating tax mistakes. It's also going to give you a better awareness of your finances and your cash flow, which is going to lead to greater control, and you'll be better able to make informed business decisions with the correct figures. And another advantage is you're not going to be looking around for missed receipts at the end of the year, because you'll be on top of those each quarter. I'm now going to pass back to Leanne for another poll.
Thank you. Okay, so just before I start this poll, is have you already started prepping for MTD for IT? Now, you could argue, but by watching this webinar, you are starting today to prep for MTD, but we want to know before this webinar, had you previously started to prep for MTD? So I'll just start that there for you, and it is a simple yes or no. I'll just give you a few moments there just to vote. Okay, people are still voting. Thank you very much. Okay, we have the majority hadn't started to prep, so it's great that you're joining us here today, and we hope we can help you there onwards with your journey with us for MTD. Okay, Jeremy, back to you.
Thank you, Leanne.
Thanks.
So we think that Coconut's going to be the perfect solution to address your MTD for income tax issues. It's going to make the whole MTD for income tax easy to deal with. It's not accounting software. It's a great way to help you run your business with more information. You can use it on your phone, tablet, laptop, or desktop. It was created for sole traders and small private landlords. Thousands of users use Coconut and love it. They're people just like you. It's easy to use. It doesn't require any training. It's going to save you loads of time and effort. It's convenient. You can use it whenever and wherever you want. So why should you use Coconut? Coconut connects to more than 30 banks and credit cards. It's going to make tracking your income and expense much easier. You can snap and store expense receipts. And it makes it easy to separate personal from business transactions if you have a mixed account. There's also a feature to send out invoices that you can brand to your customers, and those invoices can have PayPal payment links on them. Please start using Coconut now. Don't delay, start today. You'll soon get used to Coconut. It's super easy to use. It's going to make MTD painless, and it's going to take care of all of the hard work for you. And you're immediately going to gain from the other benefits that we've mentioned. Okay, Leanne's now going to cover the costing aspects of the software.
Cheers, Jeremy. Okay, so how much will Coconut cost you? Coconut is just $9.95 a month. That's less than a few coffees a month and a lot less than unpaid invoices, forgotten expenses, or an unexpected tax bill. If Jeremy just moves on one for me, thank you. There's a QR code on the screen now. You can try Coconut for free. It's a 30-day free trial, and you can find out why so many UK sole traders and landlords love coconuts. If you are on a mobile right now, excuse me, and you cannot see cannot scan the QR code, don't worry, we'll send you details in the email after the webinar. Incidentally, should you have taken a trial previously and it's expired, just pop a message in the comments and we can look at being able to extend that trial for you. Okay, so the last poll for today, let me just start that for you, is do you understand what is required of you for MTD? Simple yes or no, you need more help. If you need more help, please do pop something in the Q&A section where we can help you and we can build on these webinars as we go. I'll just give you a few moments. And also, while we're doing this, get your Q&As in for Jeremy. I know he's eager to answer some questions for you. Okay, so voting does seem to have come to a bit of a standstill there. So the majority of people, 70% of people, 71 now, somebody else has just voted, are saying yes, they do understand what's required of them for MTD. So hopefully this webinar has helped you with that. And yeah, well, I think we're moving into the Q&A section now. So Jeremy, are you ready for your questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we have, just bear with me one second. Can we use HMRC for MTD?
No, you're going to have to find third-party software. HMRC have recently confirmed that they will not be providing any submission tools for MTD for income tax. Okay,
and will the software help prompt when quarters are due?
We'll be implementing an MTD for income tax dashboard, which will indicate the impending quarter submission and the due dates. So it will be clear from that dashboard when you've got to submit.
Okay, and somebody's just asking if you can clarify what's meant by a digital record.
A digital record is a computerized record that's made once at the beginning when the transaction's incurred. Coconut facilitates this by using open banking so that the manual effort for the most part is dealt with and you don't have to do it. It's brought in through open banking.
Okay, and somebody's asking for clarification back on the quarters. So quarter 2, 3, etc. are not separate. They include quarter 1 and the quarters before it.
The quarter reporting is not standalone, it's cumulative. So the first quarter is April, May and June. The second quarter starts from April and runs through July, August, and September, etc. And so necessarily any error correction that's made will just be wrapped up in the next cumulative report. So they're year-to-date figures, not standalone quarters. I hope that clarifies.
Thank you. I've got two questions that are kind of similar. So with the MTD thresholds, are they for self-employed or landlord income in isolation, or for your income in total? And then the next question is basically asking the same, but they're asking if they have employment income and then a small business income as well, would that be pushed into MTD?
Right, employment income is quite separate and is not part of the qualification calculation. The income, the revenue that HMRC are using is the total of the self-employed income and rental income for the taxpayer to determine whether they breach the 50, 30 or 20k thresholds in 26, 27 and 28.
Okay, and then if just a second part to that question as well. So if they had, say, for example, 20k from employment and 15k for small business, would they be then pushed into MTD for that bracket?
No, the 20k for employment's not included, and the 15k of qualifying income would be below the 20k limit, so they would not be initially caught, not forced to get involved.
Thank you. With MTD and Coconut, is the bank statement information that you categorise enough information for HMRC, or do you need to provide receipts as well?
The receipts, the only information that ends up going to HMRC is the total of income, the total of expense, and the difference between the two. So each quarter, only 3 numbers are going up to HMRC. The receipts are part of your business record keeping that go to support the transactions you've incurred, and you need to have those in case of query, investigation. Should HMRC want to ask further, you can then provide supporting documentation for why the business incurred an expense. But it's there, they're part of your business records. They're not directly, immediately required. They're not going to go to HMRC.
Okay, just a couple more. What happens with MTD for IT if you have other forms of income like pensions, which need to go on your return, but which you may not have the details of until after the end of the tax year?
Okay, the deadline for including everything else other than the MTD for income tax quarterly information will be done in a final declaration, a final assessment, and the deadline for that submission is the same as it is now. It's the 31st of January following the tax year end, and that final declaration process will include other aspects of your tax return. So it will include other elements, investment income, capital gains, etc., etc. Any other aspects that would go on your tax return will be included in that final assessment.
Okay, and having captured our receipts and invoices on Coconut, what do I then do with it for my tax return?
Coconut is going to capture the transactional information that you will amend as the year is going on, and that will then get submitted quarterly to HMRC. And then there will be a year-end process that finalizes that and encompasses the other aspects of your return, which you'll be able to select in a simple page-like selection process to finalize your assessment. And it will be a seamless start to finish process within the Coconut environment.
Okay, thank you. And just a couple more, Jeremy, if you're okay. We've got quite a lot coming in. I don't think we're going to get to cover them all. I'm just picking out the good ones for you, hopefully.
Good one.
So, yeah. Well, ones that seem to help everybody, because there's a few that are being asked quite a lot. So we've got, I'm a Coconut user already. Thank you to that person. Will you add a quarterly submit button for this?
There'll be, yes, will be something that will serve that purpose. We will be implementing an MTD for income tax dashboard, which will have a quarterly obligation on there, and there'll be a submit button there, and there'll be a confirmation of the submission so you can see where you're at. Hopefully something like a traffic light system, so you'll be able to see the status of the quarter and the when due.
Okay, and I'm just going to combine two questions because they are quite similar. I've got somebody asking, do they have to pay the tax quarterly, and do they still have to pay the 6-month payment in advance, for the payment on account?
It's an information gathering exercise and a tax estimation exercise. HMRC have given absolutely no indication that they plan to collect tax quarterly. The existing arrangements will continue, so you'll still have to do the payments on account as before, end of Jan and end of July as before. Those do not change.
Okay, thank you. And we'll just go for one more, I think. They seem to be slowing down now. What happens if you unexpectedly earn more and end up in a bracket that means you should have been submitting quarterly?
I'm going to have to defer that to a colleague who has more knowledge, and we will get back to that person. Leanne, can you make sure you know who's asked it so we can respond? What I will say in response to that is some background information. So, HMRC are going to determine who falls into the bracket for inclusion in April 26. That's over the 50k limit, by reference to the self-assessment from 2 years earlier. And that means the self-assessment for 24-25. The deadline for that is January 26. So make sure that you're looking at your total revenue for 24-25, and if it's over 50k, you'll be included. The other thing to be aware of is HMRC are implementing a lock-in, a 3-year lock-in to MTD. They don't want taxpayers dropping in and dropping out of MTD. So if you are mandated by the limits to fall into MTD for income tax, you're in there for 3 years, and to come out you have to be below the mandated amount for 3 years to come out, and that's to avoid any hokey cokey aspects to the submission system process. Leanne.
Thank you. Very, very last question now, I promised you, Jeremy. So I think this will help a lot of people as well. So the first MTD submission due on the 6th of August 2026, this is to cover April to August 26. So the due date of this submission due date is basically instantaneous.
No, that's not correct.
Okay.
The first quarter is from the 6th of April to the 5th of July. May, June, July. 3 months to the 5th of July, and the deadline is the 7th of August. the 7th of the month following the deadline. It's not instantaneous.
Okay, I think it was more meaning like it's more real-time reporting instead of doing it a year previous, like they used to doing it, is more real-time reporting type thing. Okay, so that was the last question for today. You'll be happy to know, Jeremy.
Yeah.
So I will draw our time to a close. We hope you found the webinar to be informative and it's helped you as you start your MTD journey. As I said at the start, this is the first in a series of webinars on MTD for IT, and we will be holding more in-depth sessions over the coming months, and we hope you can join us. Please do scan the QR code or make a note of our website so you can take advantage of the free trial. So getcoconut.com, you can get from there. We will email that across to you as well. Apologies if we didn't get to answer all your questions today. The one that Jeremy noted there that he wasn't able to answer fully, and any of the others where we can as well, we will come back to you directly. So thank you for joining the team here at Coconut today. I hope you can join us on future webinars as we all prepare for MTD for IT together. Once again, thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.